This is Daylight and Moonshine with me, Nephew G.
All right.
And today's topic will be, what are you giving you in 2022?
Mhm.
And today my guest will be the one and only, my own blood, my Uncle Carl,
All right. All
Mr.
right.
Carlton Smith, my Uncle Carl. We call him Uncle Carl.
Yeah.
He's going to join me today on this episode. It should be a great topic. He's got some great insights, so stick around. It's going to be fun. Welcome back to the D.A.M podcast, y'all. Episode 33. And like I mentioned before, I have my Uncle Carl with me today. And we're talking about, what are you giving you in 2022? And it's all about the aftermath of 2020. Um, how did you heal from the COVID crisis a couple years ago? So we want to know, we're going to ask each other, we're going to ask ourselves, and we're asking all the listeners out there, what are we giving to ourselves, 2 years later, after that, the aftermath of all of that madness. And I know everybody's tired of the topic in itself, but it's important to sort of check in with yourself and see where you are as an individual. So today we're being nosy. We asking the question. We're asking the question, what are you giving to you in 2022?
All right.
So we've got a couple episodes planned out. This is the first one, and we'll do hopefully a few more really, really soon. But I welcome you today, my good uncle, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming on.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you for coming on. So we had a conversation. He was here. He's in California, and he was here visiting. When was that? A few months ago?
Yeah.
A few months ago,
July. July. Hmm.
back in July. And we finally got a chance to sit down and chop it up over some pizza, and had some really nice talks, and even had some nice talks over the phone and chats via text about a lot of different stuff. And that's kind of what sparked this whole, hey, you should come on the show. And a really big episode that I'm anticipating. I won't even release the title or the topic of it, but I'll just say it is a doozy. It's going to be a doozy. And honestly, I prefer not to do that now because there's so much stuff going on right now that I don't even know if I could handle the like overload of emotional explosion right there. Because obviously, this is family right here. So we started off a little light on this topic, which is also important uh, in terms of mental health and just checking in with yourself. But tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on with you.
Okay. I'm an accountant by trade. I'm in the business world. I do anything from bookkeeping to a lightweight financing in that respect. Trying to start my own little thing. Taxes season's coming up, so we're getting ready for that. That's pretty much it on that side. But I also am a somewhat motivational type speaker. I haven't done any engagements as of yet, but most of the time I get invites like this to the podcast, and or some people may ask me to bring a few lessons here and there. And speaking in that nature, this is something that's been going on with me for quite some time. Uh, I've just been getting ready for it. So now
Okay.
I believe it's time to move into that season. So here I am. I'm
Okay.
doing well. hmm
Definitely. That's great to hear. Definitely great to hear. Is that a natural thing? Where did that come from? The motivational speaker. Is that something that's always been there?
Oh, I would say yes. It's what they call a gift and a talent. We all
Okay.
have, and sometimes we don't know what they are, but it's always something that comes so natural to you, and most of us overlook it. And so
Yeah.
that was with me. I overlooked it for quite some time because I was one of those introverts, coming through a rough era in Chicago back in the 60s and 70s. It wasn't very good. So,
Mm,
a lot of things got overstepped. And then there's that part where the enemy that we contend with on a daily basis tried to snuff your light. So he was doing a very good job. So I had to come to grips with the fact that I've always had it in me. I just didn't realize it yet.
mm. That seems to be the case with a lot of folks, including myself. I can definitely relate to that. Um, it's hard sometimes to dig so deep within yourself and pull that out. Like where do you pull motivation from to motivate others?
Okay. Most of the time, I do a lot of reading. It could be from various sources, but my main source, my foundation is the Bible, the Word of God. A lot of things that we find in the secular world or the natural world stem from that.
Mm,
You hear things, or you hear things about self-care and mental this and everything of that nature. But if you look really closely, you'll find that it stems from a spiritual realm. Everything, this is just my belief, everything that we contend with has two parts. It's a natural part of it where you see the fruit, and there's a spiritual part of it where you see the root. So
mm,
we deal with things on that nature, but most of us are so wrapped up in what we touch, taste, see, and feel, we neglect where it actually comes from.
I
So there's
see.
a couple of scriptures that I don't want to make it a religious thing, but
No, go do
you
your
know,
thing.
it's a couple of scriptures that tell us that we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. Our enemy is not against another person; it's against the enemy who wants to see you destroyed because of his downfall. So we deal with those type of things, and we see a lot of the mental illnesses stem from a lot of spiritual things. So once we find out what that root cause is, we can deal with it in the natural. So I pulled it from that. I've read philosophies. I've read some Plato, some Aristotle, a lot of different things. It comes from anywhere. It'll be anything. It's not limited. It's not closed off to any arena.
Yeah.
So it comes from anywhere. It could be just a conversation that you and I have, and it may not start off that way, but somehow or another, it's going to bring itself into that.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. That's a very interesting analogy there. Um, just coming up, one thing I can say is I remember not to block this microphone here. One thing that I remember coming up is anytime I was doing something creative, like on the creative side,
Mhm.
um, I would pull a little something from different directions. I've always felt like that. And I never wanted to say it because I didn't want it to be perceived as I'm emulating something or somebody and basically like taking it as opposed to um using it and just energetically, just like you said to me on a spiritual level. Just the sixth sense. You said to touch, taste, see, and feel, and all that stuff. Well, what's the sixth one? What's that one that you have to tap into? That's not so easy to just reach out and use. It's that spiritual sense, and
Exactly.
we all have it. We all definitely have it. But when you speak in terms of energy, that's what to me that's what pulling that's what pulling it is. That basically that's essentially that's what you're doing is pulling energetically from these areas. So I talked to my uncle, and he's very inspiring in his words. And just talking to him, he stimulates a creative side of me like nobody else can. So what did I just get from you? Energetically, I got that positive burst of energy, that influence, because you didn't physically give me anything. So now I'm going forward with that, just that motivation that I got from him, from you, to do whatever I'm putting it into. So I always remember being able to pull from, and I use the example, this is like on a probably the lowest level I could use it on is when I was writing music, I would pull from my favorite artists, and it'll be something that just does it for me from them. Whether it's, oh man, the energy that he has when he says his lyrics or whatever, or this one's his stage presence, or this one how he can use his voice and project his voice in that particular way. Or this one his wordplay. Nobody else uses words. It makes me want to take a word and use it in that way. So whatever it is I'm getting from all these different individuals, I'm pulling that energy from them as opposed to just borrowing their style. I'm pouring it into myself,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all energy. So energetically, I think that's huge. Which on a downside, if you surround yourself with low vibrational individuals,
Yes.
then what are you pulling from them? you know,
Energy. And that's a great word that you use, energy, because that's what it all is. I
yeah,
mean, it's a force. It's when you look at the spiritual, you're looking at energy because it's
hmm
not something that you can just reach out and grab. So it's
yeah,
all energy per se. For we're going to keep it simple. We're
right,
going
right,
to
right,
use energy, and it's a thing. So once you understand what that's all about, it comes from anywhere from anybody at any time, no
yeah,
matter how old or young they are.
yeah.
You find something in someone because that's how we're all connected in
We're
a
all
sense.
connected. I agree 100%.
We're
Yeah,
all connected in that sense. And if you are not using your energy via which comes out as your words, and you're not using it properly or giving life, you
yeah.
destroy.
hmm
So and that will the negative part of it comes a lot quicker and spreads a lot quicker than the positive. It's kind of crazy how we gravitate to something that's crazy,
Yeah,
something that's negative versus saying, you know what, that was a good thing. Let me look at that. But we have that thing, and because we live in a place where the energy has been predominantly negative for thousands of years.
absolutely.
And even you can look around you today and just look at it and see what's happening. We won't even get into, the specifics of it all, but it's all a negative energy. And then the ones that are supposedly tapped into the positive, they're too reserved and too whatever to bring that out. You know,
Mm,
uh, you find people are oppressed because of the fact that you believe one thing.
yeah,
And I was in that space for a minute. I couldn't tap into, what, it's okay to say I love the Lord. It's
yeah.
okay to believe in, Jesus Christ. It's okay to believe in that because that's where my energy comes from.
hmm
Now, whether someone else agrees with that or not, I can't fault that, or I can't say that as a negative. I just have to present as it comes to me. And you find it says there that you can judge or tell a tree by the fruit that it bears.
There's yeah,
But if you're in a space and all you seeing is wrong and negative and this and that and the other, you're in a bad space.
you're in a bad space. Yeah,
So, and that leads us into what we're talking about. What did you do for yourself in 2022? The biggest thing is you have to determine who you want to be.
yeah.
Because if you're not doing that, oh, it's so many directions. I'm this is coming now.
I hear you. We'll
If
get
you're
it
not
out.
doing that, if you're not doing that, then you're setting yourself up for chaos, downfall, failures, whatever word you want to use in there. You're setting yourself up for something that's not going to be positive to you. And not only you, because we're all connected to everybody that's connected to you.
Yeah.
So it spreads. It's like a sound wave, a shock wave. It's all energy. It spreads. So if you don't have a good handle on what you're putting out, you're gonna infect or affect someone else
Yeah.
in a negative light.
I agree. I definitely agree. Before we jump into this topic, um, I definitely want to say once again, thank you for coming on.
Oh, my
It,
pleasure.
just looking at, we haven't had the opportunity to really talk in depth about different topics. That's why I'm loving this. Like, just to put it out there, I always do on the episodes. This is an organic conversation.
Right.
For everybody that's listening, for everybody that's watching, this is an organic conversation. It's never scripted or predetermined. The only thing that's predetermined is the topic. And we intentionally steered away from certain topics in person so that this could be organic when we have it here on the podcast. So I just want to reiterate that a lot of the stuff I'm hearing you say for the first time, and the same, I'm sure. Um, but I definitely want to jump into this topic. I think when someone hears this and it really sinks in, hopefully this is what happens when you hear the topic and it really sinks in, because I take a lot of time choosing what I say in the topic. To me, it's so important because I love for the topics to be things that either somebody never really thought about or things that nobody even really discussed. Like, you don't see it on different shows or just around tables, kitchen tables in families or whatever. Those are the subjects that I like to highlight.
Mhm.
This particular subject is, who talks about giving to yourself? You know what I mean? Like, you hear about relationships, you hear about you being a parent, which is another relationship, you being a child or a spouse, especially a spouse, but all the different dynamics where you have relationships with others. That's all that people are talking about. You don't hear a lot about the relationship that we have with ourselves, which a couple years ago, and I've said this on earlier episodes, I feel like that's the most important relationship that you will ever have in your lifetime, is the relationship that you have with yourself.
Yes.
And it is the one thing nobody ever told me about. And when I came to that conclusion, it was just like mind boggling for me. Because I came to the realization that I was neglecting the most important relationship I will have on this earth. I was
Mhm.
neglecting it. And then when the attention that I was giving it was negative, you know,
Mhm.
I was pouring into everybody around me and not myself. And it was like, that was that moment, like that was the biggest thing. So that's the perfect way to start this off. So in 2020 is when I started putting the pieces together for this podcast, for this platform, because I had so much inside that I wanted to get out, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I was so private that I wanted to put it out to the world. And this, this ended up being the perfect way to do it. Is, here's a platform, and it has the ability to reach out to pretty much everybody that clicks the button and download, or clicks the play button on um, YouTube or Rumble. So that's where it started with me in 2020. So from that point until where we are now, I kind of lost my point. Visual thinking here, but from that point into this point now, I've learned. We're talking about loving yourself and the relationship that you have with yourself.
Mhm.
That's when I realized how important this relationship is. So that's when I started really pouring into myself from 2020 to 2022.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll jump right into this topic. I don't want to take it to a whole nother place, but jumping into this topic, what are you? What are some of the things that you are doing for yourself this year And how have you healed from the COVID crises the past couple years?
Wow. To be honest, this has been a lifelong journey. This hasn't just popped up in 2022. This has been something that I've been doing for quite some time. And again, that one relationship that you have with you determines everything. And then what energies and what connections are you taking in to develop that relationship with yourself? So if I have to say, pick one thing, I would say that I'm very careful with the things that I take in and marinate on, meditate on, and speak out, to develop and give myself the best opportunity to grow and to prosper. So what I do on a regular basis is I pray, and I get into meditation. I get into positive words, even though a lot of people think that, oh yeah, I don't want to call them just affirmations because they're more than that. They're life changing. I understand that my words, even if I'm speaking them to myself or if I'm hearing them, words in general, if I'm hearing them, it makes a difference in my life. So I've decided that I'm going to pick and choose what I digest, what I mentally consume, and what I give out. So if I decide to say something like we're having this conversation, there shouldn't be anything that I say or deliberately come out of my mouth that will be filled with death. If you
Mm.
understand where I'm going.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that I should be saying that would not enlighten you or help you or anyone else that hears that.
Yeah.
Even just one person. You may not agree with all the methods or the exercises that I do to help me with this, but somewhere down the line, it's going to be something that's common. There's going to be a commonality in something because you can't, there's nothing new here.
Yeah.
Everything that we encounter has been done prior to us,
Mm.
and we just put a new spin on it.
Yeah.
So it's nothing that you can't take in that hasn't been done or said before. So I decided that if I'm going to do that and make the best of myself or make the best me possible, then I have to choose what I decide to take in, what
Mm.
I decide to look at, what I decide to listen to. I mean, you can hear a lot of things, and I do, and I see a lot of things, but I keep it to a minimum. You can't filter out everything. That's just virtually unless you just decide to check out.
Right.
But you can't filter out everything. So there's always going to be a little bit of something that gets in. But in that case, then you have to have something that will combat that negative word and bring you back into the place that you're supposed to be in. This is an ongoing process with me.
Yeah.
It's been going on for a long time. I just made 64 this year, actually this month. So, it's been a long time. It's been a long time coming. In fact, I'm at the place in my life now, I think I want to attribute to with my wild and crazy days. I don't sleep very much. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I'll get a little bit and I'm good. But
Right.
in the process while I'm awake, my mind is always going. I think that's why, because my mind is always going.
Yeah.
There's something on it all the time, because I'm always doing something different or trying to plan for something or got things going on in my life or someone around me or something, with the family, my kids, whatever, whoever. They're not kids, but my adults
Right.
and my pets, something's always going on. So, I'm thinking of ways to not overreact at times because that's going to happen. Somebody's going to come at you in a foul way, and that you can feel that thing well up in your gut
Oh yeah.
where you
I,
ready to choke somebody
I've
out.
I've felt that very recently. In fact.
So you have to like again combat that with something that's going to bring life, not only to you, but when you get that life, it's got to spill out. That's what
Yeah.
makes it life. It has to spill out. There's nothing, there's two rivers in Africa. One is the Salt Sea where nothing grows, and one is the Nile where, it's life. Nothing grows in the Salt Sea, even though it grows, it gathers water from various sources. It stops right there. It can take in, but it doesn't give anything out. So it has this enormous salt deposit where nothing can thrive in. And if you live your life in that manner where you're not giving out, you know, you're dying. And you're killing, the people, around you that may need you to, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a thing. So you have to think in terms of uh not me, but everybody else.
Yeah.
So as far as giving myself, I'm giving myself the opportunity to give to someone else. And
Gotcha.
that helps me. It makes me strong.
Okay. One of the things that I felt like I kind of learned, and once again, we're speaking on our own individual experiences, and I'm interested to hear, don't say see, to hear what you think about this. I have always been a giver, always
Mhm.
been a giver. And that's what I said earlier. All my relationships with each individual person, and I do like this, and I'm saying all the people that's close to me, obviously, from
Okay.
spouse
Okay.
to kids to parents and whoever's
Right.
right here in my circle,
Right.
I'm giving out to them. I got to a point where I felt depleted, and I would always reach and pull some energy from somewhere, recharge myself, recharge my own batteries,
Hmm.
and start all over again.
Hmm.
But I came to the realization, for me, I came to this realization that are you familiar with the universal law of attraction?
Yeah.
Okay, so the law of attraction. So I read that book, and it was a very, very interesting book. It was something I never really heard about, and it
Hmm.
was to me just a different spin on you reap what you sow.
Exactly.
Yeah, I talk to my mom about it all the time, and I think one time we agreed that it was the same, and then we disagreed, and it is what it is. But I feel like it's one and the same, and just like you said, there's nothing new, but somebody will put their own spin on it.
Correct.
To me, that's the perfect example. And for me, being taught by my mom, I needed that new spin on a lot of things that she taught me. I
Hmm.
needed that spin to make sense to me.
Hmm.
Because if somebody, you're a child coming up, somebody's constantly giving you their understanding of something, it may not resonate with you.
Hmm.
You're a totally different person. So there was some things that made sense that I took in, and I still hold dearly that I was taught
Hmm.
mostly by my mom growing up. And
Hmm.
there was some things that I just could not take in. It's just like, I don't know where I sit with this. So as an adult, there was some things that I kind of took out, put my own spin on it, or ended up like reading a book or seeing something or hearing a lecture or whatever, and gaining a different spin on it. So
Hmm.
now I can take that in, and now it makes sense to me.
Hmm.
Now I can feel it. Now I understand that. And there's a lot of things that I put side by side with what I was taught, and some of the things that I kind of, I don't know where this sits, and I just kind of took it away. A lot of those things to me, one and the same. They were
Hmm.
one and the same. That was one of the things. So going back to what I felt like I learned about myself, a huge lesson that I had. Um, I want to say this was 2020, it was a couple years ago.
Hmm.
Um, I realized it's just as important to receive as it is to give, if you're giving a lot. Because if you're constantly giving out, giving out, giving out, and you're not receiving anything,
Hmm.
then where's that even balance? Where's that even exchange?
Hmm.
Where's that attraction? Because you're constantly attracting people that's gonna want to receive from you,
Right.
because that's the energy that you're putting out. You're putting out, I'm a giver, I'm a giver, I'm a giver. So the people that you're attracting to you are receivers.
Right.
they're going to be there to receive. So they're going to walk with their hand out. And you're sitting at the end of the day, especially when you get in a space where you feel like you really need. I got in spaces where I felt like I really needed somebody emotionally.
Mm.
And I was always the backbone. I was always the foundation. I was always the anything nice and solid for my circle
Mm-hmm.
in terms of emotion and a lot of other things. But I'll just pinpoint the emotional part.
Mm-hmm.
And when I felt like the strong brother that was always getting his shoulders leaned on, I got to a point where I needed somebody. And I looked around, it wasn't nobody's shoulder there to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
Not a
Mm-hmm.
single shoulder. And so of course my initial reaction was just anger. I was mad at everybody that felt like I was close to. None of y'all got y'all shoulders sticking out.
Right.
You mother you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I had to go back and process it. So I brought it all back. I'm like, bring it back, bring it back. What's going on here? And of course, there was the whole process was a lot more detailed than this, and then it'll just go on a whole nother journey. So I just kind of cut it short. But it was me realizing that's what it was. It wasn't them. It was me.
Right.
It
Right.
was me. There was no space for anybody to give to me.
Right.
I wanted somebody to tell me that though. I wanted to be told. Um, well, I never thought about whatever, but in the sense I was being told because
Mm.
they were showing me. And I don't know if you ever got to a point where you started to evaluate every single relationship you had with a person. I mean, not in the past, but I mean current, like in the
Oh,
present.
definitely.
You
Yeah.
know,
You have,
like
you have to. And as far as I can identify with what you're saying, because I'm a giver,
Mhm.
from as far back as I can remember. I don't hold on to things very long. If I'll get angry, but it won't last.
Mhm.
I don't keep that stuff in me. That's just how I'm made.
Yeah.
It's not me. But as you were sharing that, um, I just thought about the fact that giving and giving and giving and giving and giving is a dangerous place to be in, because um, you don't allow anyone to give to you.
Mhm.
People are like this. If they see that you're a certain way, they're going to push that way,
Oh yeah.
that agenda, to their benefit.
Even the nicest, sweetest people they're going to
The nicest,
eventually, yeah.
sweetest,
Mhm.
exactly. And staying on task here, and that's what we have to give to ourselves. The ability to give, and as you said, to receive. So we got to give permission. I
Mm.
got to give ourselves permission
Yep.
to receive, as well as another person to give.
Yep.
You don't have to. I mean, sometimes you have to deny self.
Yeah.
But again, how do you fix that in yourself? And that's where I turn to those words that I meditate on, those
Yeah.
things or those lessons that I get from the Bible, those lessons that I get from whatever materials that I'm reading that coincide. Because I don't just haphazardly read anything,
Right.
different things. Most of the things that I read are pretty much, concise and connected, so
Mm.
that I'm not all over the place.
Yeah.
You can really go there when you're not in a clear direction. You can go there, but you have to give yourself permission to receive, as well
Absolutely.
as giving someone else permission to give.
To give.
So it's a crazy thing, but you know you find those places, and I'm sure that you found this out, and you saw that once you allow these things to come to fruition, you begin to love yourself more.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And once you start loving yourself more, you find out you can give in a space where it's safe.
Yeah.
So you can still be that giver. You're not going to change from that. No
Yeah.
matter how hard you try, you're going to be a giver to the day you leave this planet. You
Yeah.
just need to do it now in moderation.
Mhm.
You have to choose and pick and choose how you set these things out. And you have to pick and choose how you give.
Yeah.
because you can't give the same thing to everybody.
Nope.
Everybody doesn't require the same thing. So you have to do it in spaces and sparing things of that nature. So it's a good thing, you learn. And one thing that I love to say, and I tell people all the time, this journey being life is perfectly designed to fit your personality.
Hmm. Yeah.
You can't see it any other way but the way you see it. And
Yeah.
the things that you go through, even though they may seem detrimental at a particular point in time, barring that you're not doing something really far out,
Right.
it's all here to help you.
Yeah.
It's your personality design, your personality mesh that you pick these things. You you're picking the lifestyle that you want through the actions and interactions that you give and
Yeah.
receive. That's how that all comes about. But then a lot of people don't get that because we're thinking outside versus looking what is my role and what I'm getting.
Yeah.
The law of attraction, yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
You reap what you sow. Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
uh it's a thing. I mean, even down to the things that you say, you are basically a sum total of what you see, what you speak, and what you do.
Hmm.
That doesn't change ever in life. And once we get those lessons and once we understand the basic principles of everything or how that works, we're good.
Yeah.
It takes time. It took me some time, and I'm still learning things. I just come into a season in my life now that I decided that uh I'm going to go head on, full fledged, and not let any of this crap get to me, because I feel like I'm living below my potential.
Yeah.
We all
Absolutely.
have we
Yeah.
all have a great amount of energy. You
Hmm.
want to call it that, potential, that we can do and accomplish anything we want. We're created that way.
Yeah.
That's why you see a lot of people, doing the things they do, because they try to. That's that creativity trying to come out in different ways.
Yeah.
So depending on what and how what we get hooked up with, that's how that it manifests itself. That's how that energy will manifest itself. But everybody has a creative energy. So
Absolutely.
just imagine if you took two or three people and you all decided to go on this particular journey, and you all decided to expel the perfect energy that's for you. They're all going to be different, but they're going to be similar. Just imagine what you could accomplish.
Absolutely.
Just a
Yeah.
couple of people, and the thing of it is that I'm starting to get to the place where I really enjoy sharing that. Like I said, this has been going on with me since I can remember. It first hit me when I was 18 years old. I
Mm.
started having a series of dreams. And the crazy thing about it is, you talk about dreams, and, people start freaking out. Ah! Hit the pipe. But, there are ways that
Absolutely.
you know the truth. You can't evade that. You know what that is. It's different for everybody. Mine was in dreams, and in those dreams I saw certain things. And then when you start seeing the same thing over and over again, it gets to start to stick. But the thing that drove it home was I started noticing the way I started speaking,
Yeah.
and the reception that I was getting from others because I would say something. It could be something really simple, and I didn't know. It just comes out,
Mm.
a gift and a talent. It just comes out, and I had the opportunity to share some things over the course of my life, and what really brought it home was the feeling that I got when I was doing it. There was no other place I'd rather be than doing what I was doing at a particular point in time. And it's never about me. It's never about me. And I think that's the part of being a giver, because it's never going to be about you most
Yeah.
of the time. But when you give in the right way, as I was saying earlier, when you give in the right way, you'll get back what you need. But you have to find those ways to always replenish that space in you without getting, pissed off, angry, feeling like, well, I did this. Well, yeah, you did it because that's who you are. But now you have to redirect that energy into a positive spin so that you're getting what you need at the same time.
Definitely. Those are all very, very good points. Very good points. I asked myself a couple years ago if I can put, or I didn't ask myself, going back to what you were saying earlier when we are talking about what are you giving to you, and all the stuff that you went in within yourself. Those are things that you're giving. You're giving those things, those affirmations, or whether you want to call them affirmations or words or prayers or meditation. You're giving to yourself. You're pouring into yourself.
Exactly.
And two main things, or the main, if I would say two main ingredients, not the only one, but for me, the two main ingredients in this pot of life that I will always reach for first. If there was ingredients in the cupboard and I was grab the two first, it would always be love and balance. Those are two things that I always reach for to pour into the pot of life, so to speak, in any situation. Yeah, those are the two main things. Definitely love goes 1st. So just like I said, going back to something you were saying earlier, I can't think of specifically what you were saying, but just tapping back into that energy of um, anything that you're doing going forward, being a giver, just speaking on being a giving person, a very loving, giving person. I thought to myself, how in the hell can I allow it to balance out? How can I balance out if I'm such a giver? It's natural. I want to do this. And like you said, it makes me feel good. I'm not doing it for brownie points or no award at the end of the day, because there are none. This is what makes me feel good. How can I give that and still have that feeling without feeling depleted or looking around and not seeing any shoulders to lean on when I do need it? How do I, okay, we'll throw some balance in there. Also, another very important thing, you said it. I very rarely hear people say that. So when you said it, it definitely got my attention. You gave yourself permission. And a lot of people don't realize that is something simple that you can do. It wasn't simple for me to allow balance, but it was simple for me to give myself permission to. I made myself aware of it. Yeah, I was aware of it. And I said, you know what? This is something that's going to be intentional now. I'm going to intentionally give myself permission to allow people to give to me. Because how many times have you, no, I'm good. No, 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 I'm good. No,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Where's the balance in that?
Right.
And like you said, you kind of condition the people around you to know that G ain't gonna take it anyway. Even if I tried to give him this or whatever, he's not gonna take it.
Right.
You're conditioning the people around you to that. This is how they're being taught to interact with you now. He doesn't need. He enjoys giving, so he's gonna give. Yeah, eventually it turns into people taking advantage, unfortunately, and it's just a lot of times we have ourselves to blame, um, but definitely a great talk, a great talk. If
Yeah.
if you were to give advice to all the listeners out there on some things that they should consider, if they're not, things that they should consider giving to themselves this year and every year, what are some of those things?
Well, you mentioned it. The key thing is love.
Yeah.
You hear a lot of people, a lot of the buzzword now is self-care and loving oneself and this and that and the other. And, but a lot of people don't really expound on it.
Right.
How do you love yourself?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. How do you love yourself? You said this in the beginning that the most prominent relationship that we're having is with ourselves. How do you do that? So my thing is this: find something, preferably something positive that you can pick up easily, that you can even carry it around. Even if you're listening to something, take a portion of your day to interject something that will make you feel self-love. Just don't go through this because it's so much crap going along. And the crazy thing about it is that we can't get away from it.
Yeah.
We can't get away from this, so you have to determine how you're going to navigate. So the first thing is love yourself, not to the point of, it's an artificial thing or you trying to think of ways or how do you do that? Even if it's, sitting in the tub for, whatever length of time it is, putting on the whatever it is you listen to, preferably something calming.
I can't
and,
I
and
can't
do
vibe the NWA the same way.
well,
F the
well,
police.
I mean, hey, not in that space. No, not in that space.
Definitely just kidding. Definitely.
Find someone that you can bounce stuff off of.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't do this alone. When the floods came, if you believe in that, when the floods came, he brought them in there two by two.
Yeah.
He didn't bring not one single species, man or animal, by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So you need a partner. You need an accountability partner, somebody that you trust. And I'm pretty sure people hear this all the time, but it's a real thing. You need somebody that you can trust, that you can be vulnerable with.
Yeah.
And not be afraid that whatever we share is gonna come out. I'm not gonna hear this a week two later from so and so Joe Blow because you talk to them. You need to find that person. It's a little rough because you have to be able to be vulnerable.
Absolutely.
In order to tell someone some of your deep dark stuff. Get that stuff out. Get it out. Love yourself. Love yourself. Feel your life, feel your world. It doesn't take a whole lot of time at first, but I'm pretty sure as you get going, the time will expand. Fill yourself with positive words, and start speaking the words out. So once you put that in, give it to somebody else. Like the example I gave about the salt sea. It takes in great water, but it gives nothing out and nothing lives in it. So you won't live either if you're taking in good stuff, but you're not giving it out.
Mm-hmm.
So be a conduit. Don't be a hoarder.
Yeah.
And those are the biggest things I would say. I mean, keeping it simple, loving you to the degree that you need help and you're going to actively seek it. And then once you find those things, give it to somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, that's so important. So important. I think just to kind of reiterate what you just said, something I didn't say earlier. When you look around, if you're ever in a situation like I was, and you looked around, there was no shoulders to lean on, to cry on, nobody to reach out, or then that means you need to reevaluate your circle.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you need to deplete your circle, purge your whole circle and start fresh. Like you said, find that person or maybe hopefully people that you can trust, that you can lean on, that when you do turn, there's going to be a shoulder, there's going to be a back, there's going to be a hand, there's going to be a person there that's not just there to receive, there's going to be a person there waiting to give whenever you come around to deciding that you're okay. I'll allow myself to receive now.
Well, one thing that I had the thought when you were first talking about that, but I lost it. You have to not expect everyone to be like you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you made your mistakes. I made my mistakes that way. Expecting everybody to be like you because I like this. I enjoy doing this. You should too. I'm going to show you how it's done. But you can't do that. You can't expect everyone to be like you. And you have to do it in moderation. When you give, you got to give in moderation.
Absolutely.
You can't give all of you to where you have nothing. And I still do it today. I mean, not to get too, revealing because, it's nobody else's business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even now, I have siblings.
Yeah.
uh, that will come to me, you know, no, no holds barred.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're there. Well, let me give a little background because we know each other.
Yes. Yes.
So, background is this: I have two sets of siblings.
Yeah.
I have a set from my mother, which is your mom and my mom.
Mm.
Are no, your mom, me, and your mom are siblings, brothers and sisters.
Correct.
We have the same mother.
Hmm.
Not the siblings on that side, but the siblings on my dad's side. A whole different group of people. So they come and no. The thing of it is that they come and they want something. It's never something small. So we're talking monetary right now,
Yeah.
or something that's going to require a lot of me. And most of the time, I don't say no. Just so happens that I can do it. I believe that if I can do it, I'm going to do it. But what I had to do is put a cap on it.
Hmm.
So when you tell me something, it's not that I'm going to harass you, run you down, whatever, whatever, whatever. So I had to put a cap on things. So I had to learn to say, most of the time I won't say no. I will say yes, but I determine what's more important at the particular point in time.
Yeah.
Because if you like you gave everyone, like you said, you gave them the permission, or you taught them how to react and treat you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So once they get that, okay, I can go to G, I can go to Carl, I can
Yeah.
do this, I can do that, and it's gonna be okay. They do it without even a thought. They
Hmm.
do it without even thinking, how to even uh, combat any of that. They don't even have the intent to making things right
Yeah.
because we're giving them the permission to treat us that way.
Yeah.
So you got to stop doing that. Don't give a person permission to, and you can't expect someone to be like you.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it. Like I said, personally fit, personally designed to fit your personality. Yours is not mine. Mine's not yours. Even though we're both givers, we do it in different
We're
styles,
doing it different.
in
Yeah.
different ways. So we can't allow things to get out of hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you,
Wow.
you got to keep that stuff in perspective, man. This is something that should be going through your head at all times.
Hmm.
But even when you're going through a scenario where it's not favorable, your first outlook should be, okay, how do I address this? And what am I learning from it? And how do I turn this around to where it's not toxic to me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, it's work. But
Yeah.
it's good work. It's good work. And it takes time. Once you get to the place where it starts coming like this automatic, oh man, there's nothing else like it. Yeah, I
Hmm.
still have my moments. Yes, I still snap. Yes, I do. I don't want anyone to think that, oh, he should be sitting on top of a mountain. No, I still snap. And but once the snap is snapped, I would go back, and if I have to apologize, I will. I don't let the grass grow up under my feet. I'm not gonna stay upset. And I try to give a little love with that snapping at the same time.
I'm the same way.
You have to. You
Same way.
have because it will hurt you more.
Definitely.
It will hurt you more.
Man, it's so much on this topic and similar topics. That's you got to come back on. You got to come back to
Oh,
do another
definitely.
episode.
Anytime you need me, man, I'm here. I told you, you don't have a window. I'm here for you.
Absolutely. Truly
Yeah.
appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are listening to this on the traditional podcast audio only, you can watch it on YouTube. I'll put the link below in the description. And you can also watch it. You can watch every single episode on rumble.com/user/ the damn podcast. YouTube only has episode 20 and up for legal reasons. I'm going to try my best to put all the episodes on YouTube eventually. But right now, to see episode 1 through 33, you have to go to rumble.com/user/ the damn podcast. But go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and all those good buttons on whatever platform you're listening to this or watching this on.
Yes,
Uh,
indeed.
it is definitely a pleasure to have you on. Can't wait to have you back. We already got another topic set up, so that's already done.
Give it.
We just got to set the date and the time.
Yes, always a pleasure. I don't have a problem with getting this stuff out. Just like we talked about, I get it out. I'm letting it out. So you may not agree with everything, but if you sit down and let it marinate a little bit, I'm sure there's something you can find that will be useful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Do you have any? I know you don't like do the social media, anything like that. You got any websites or any social media that you wanna shout out, and
I
we can put
do
in the
not at this
description?
time, but I guess I'm gonna have to do this now.
Hey, people
know,
gonna be looking for Unc now.
yeah, this will be the beginning of things. We'll just put it out there and see what happens. If I get enough buzz, then we'll have to take it in that direction.
I gotta see what direction I'm sending these. Start getting these emails and messages and stuff for Unc. Well, Unc, I gotta know where to send all those. That too.
Okay.
We'll
Well,
talk on camera.
right. But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I believe this was not something that was haphazard.
Yeah.
I don't believe in happenstance or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't believe in chance. This is design. This is something that was already in the works before we even got here. I didn't
Agreed.
even know. We didn't know. I didn't know that I was going to run into you in July, or
Yeah.
we'd have a conversation that we have, and we ended up right here.
Yeah.
This was something that neither one of us planned for, and sometimes those are the best things.
That's
But I
true.
do believe that I have a sense that now that it has come to fruition, that it's going to grow a little bit. There's always
Absolutely.
somebody out there that needs to hear something.
Always.
Just putting it out there. I would say, if you're not taking care of that self or doing that self-love, just come back. Hit us up, hit
Yeah.
G up, and let's chop it up. I mean, if you just need somebody to listen, let's do that. I mean, we can do anything. It's all good.
Absolutely.
It's about helping one another. We need to help one another, and especially us being uh, uh, African Americans in America.
Yeah.
We need
Absolutely.
all the help we can get.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's all good.
So this is episode 33. What are you giving to you in 2022? And people, I really hope that you are giving yourself something. If you're listening to this episode, it's for a reason. It's for a reason. Give yourself all the love and care and nurturing and everything that you give out. Give it to yourself. Give it to yourself first.
Indeed.
Love yourself. Give yourself all those wonderful things.
Yes.
I guarantee you it'll come back tenfold. When you start giving, that you open up the floodgates of that balance.
Yes.
That balance. So we're going to go ahead and end this one. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Like I said, Uncle Carl will be back on a future episode really, really soon. Check us out on all the platforms. The links are below. Please hit the like button and share this video if you know somebody that could really utilize this info that we're giving out.
All right.
And until the next time, we love y'all and we out.
All right.